You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News.
Wauquasit Resort hosts second annual Out on the Bay Festival.
Plus, a look at Yarmouth Select Board reorganization.
And highlights from this year's Cape Cod Pirate Festival.
These stories and more are coming up next on Cape Media News. Good evening, it is June 7th, and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Lauren Williamson.
And I'm Mitch Sock. Our top story tonight takes us to the Yarmouth Select Board's first meeting with newly elected members Joyce Flynn and Tracy Post, where the first item up on the agenda was the board's reorganization. After each town election, the board discusses and nominates members for various positions. This year, Michael Stone was re-elected as chairman, Dorcas McGurran was elected vice chair to replace Dan Horgan, and Tracy Post was elected as clerk, replacing Dorcas McGurran. The rest of the committee and liaison positions were populated with little fanfare. However, the DY contract negotiations team position sparked a bit of discussion. Take a look.
DY contract negotiation team, Peter Q. Smith. I'm going to nominate Tracy for that position as well.
We used to, I'm not sure if it's a contract year, but the other problem is they often don't negotiate at night. So,
They don't?
no, I think that they negotiate during the day. And
Okay.
I'd nominate Joyce for that.
I believe in treating employees really well, just so you're on notice.
Hold on a second. Take that back. I'll do it. I'll take your nomination, Mike.
Okay.
I believe in treating them well, but not that well, Joyce.
So who's getting nominated here?
Tracy.
Tracy.
We reached out for clarification on their remarks, and speaking with Tracy Post, she said, the school contract negotiations affect the town's union negotiations, and both affect our budget. School employees and town employees do great work. We just don't have an open checkbook and must try to live within the constraints of Proposition 2.5. Joyce's comment made me feel as if she might approach it differently. Joyce Flynn had this to offer. I'm a strong supporter of the school district, which has involved support of past tax overrides. My statement was meant to disclose that philosophical position in advance. I used it to counter my nomination to a post where I'd be expected to be a hardline negotiator to reduce the next school budget. The board members unanimously voted to elect Tracy to the DY contract negotiations team.
The Healey-Driscoll administration announced this week that Massachusetts has received federal approval for its seasonal child nutrition program. This program will help feed an estimated 600,000 students of lower-income families while schools are closed for the summer. Families already enrolled in SNAP and temporary assistance for needy families will automatically be enrolled in the program and will receive one payment of $120 per child between July and September. Families who still need to apply can do so between June 15th and September 7th at mass.gov/summer EBT.
The Harwich Fire Department and the Chatham Fire Department have been awarded a total of $6,900 each for the Student Awareness of Fire Education Program. These grant funds are used for fire safety education and assistance for seniors and students. Under the direction of Captain Leanne Smith, the Harwich Fire Department has 3 staff members trained as life safety educators who will work with the Harwich schools and the Council on Aging to provide these grant-funded programs.
The Cape and Islands Regional Network on Homelessness released its 2024 annual point-in-time count, taken at the end of January. The point-in-time, or PIT count, is federally mandated data, a collection on the region's homeless population. The PIT collects information about the age, gender, disabilities, race, ethnicity, and veteran status of individuals and families experiencing homelessness. On the Cape and Islands, the total number of people experiencing homelessness was 568, 141 more individuals than we saw last year. Joseph Pacheco, Director of Human Services for Barnstable County, says that the point-in-time count serves as a guide in both planning and allocation of resources, Annual data collection helps ensure we have a better understanding of the demographics of the homeless population and allows us to focus on emerging trends.
The Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce received a safety training grant from the Massachusetts Department of Industrial Accidents to offer free CPR, AED, and first aid classes to members of the Yarmouth Chamber. Classes will be held on Tuesday, June 11th and Thursday, June 15th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Hampton Inn. Contact the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce at 508-778-1008 to register.
Barnstable County's Emergency Preparedness Director, Chip Riley, urges residents to be prepared for this year's hurricane season. Meteorologists are predicting 17 to 25 named storms and 8 to 13 hurricanes, 4 to 7 of which are anticipated to be major hurricanes. This season's probability of hurricanes is much higher than normal at 85%. Chip's tips for hurricane preparedness include staying informed by watching weather models and listening to National Weather Service alerts, building an emergency kit containing food, water, first aid supplies, and other important documents, and preparing a 30-day supply of medications and assistive items that can back up eyeglasses or canes. You can listen to Chip discuss this year's hurricane season at capeandislands.org.
Saturday officially kicked off Pride Month and celebrations were held all over Cape. On Sunday, we stopped by the Wequassett Resort and Golf Club in Harwichport to check out their second annual Out on the Bay Festival. Take a look.
Candles, art, and me. I was walking along behind a long distance, when out of that orange-colored sky flashed. Damn!
Pride events and Pride festivals are remarkably important, not only just to the LGBTQ plus community, but to our community at large. The rainbow covers everybody. And I think that's what's important about making sure that Pride events continue and make sure that Pride events are accessible because they really are meant for everyone to be celebrated. Over the last 10 years, over 60% of Pride events have disappeared. And we have not only the opportunity, but the responsibility to ensure that Pride and Pride festivals remain accessible and readily available to any community that wants to be able to celebrate.
Out on the Bay is the kickoff for Pride Month here at Wequassett Resort and Golf Club. It is a beautiful day. We have all that you can eat, all that you can drink. We have special surprise guests, a little drag show, and this year we have the Cape Playhouse Tick Tick Boom performers performing for us as well. So it is a day to celebrate and live down on the Cape.
It's an amazing collaboration. We're able to bring a lot of the businesses around here, especially PFLAG, which is very, very important to our community. But it's more important to have these celebrations and to have it in these places like Wequassett because it's not just in Provincetown. It's amazing to bring it down the Cape and to spread the love and community that we share, which is basically just normalizing, the Pride community. That's because we're all in one community together.
Brian Barbieri came to me last year and said that Wequassett wanted to have a Pride festival for the Mid-Cape. Obviously, Provincetown and Boston and everywhere in between has Pride festivals, but they wanted to do a Pride initiative here at Wequassett. And so they partnered with PFLAG, Provincetown Brewing Company, of course, the Crown and Anchor. And this is the second year that we're able to throw a Pride event here.
They say that life is tit for tat, and that's the way I live. So I deserve a lot of tat for what I've got to give.
I mean, right now, they're trying to stop drag, and they're trying to, stop it because we have a voice. And I think that's the problem, is that we're such a strong community, and we speak up for ourselves, and we spread love and awareness. And so if anything, a lot of people may think it's a bad thing that they're shining all this light on us, but I think it's actually a good thing because it gets people to know who we really are as a community, and we can show them who we are without any of the negativity that's spread about us. And I think it's important. It's important more now than ever to have drag and to have us part of the community to show that, to show the love and to show that there's no harm. And if anything, it's more to teach and to stand up and to be political.
Pride started as a riot. Pride started as a movement first and foremost, and it has morphed into these large festivals that are, sponsored by major corporations. And I think it's requiring us to sort of get back down to what the root of Pride is, which is just the ability of us all to celebrate each other. And that's what Prouder Together is all about. And the fact that Wauquasit and Out on the Bay has decided to partner with us is just a massive indication that our community, when needed, can really band together and make sure that Pride continues to exist and it continues to be accessible for years to come.
Here's the thing, so from last year, the first Out on the Bay, to the second annual Out on the Bay, we've like doubled in size. So it's only growing and it's only gonna continue to grow. So, honey, the food is amazing here at the Wauquasit Resort. The views are stunning and the talent is phenomenal because we have a lot of amazing local talent from all around the Cape that come together. So you wouldn't normally be able to get that in one place at one time. So just come enjoy the love. If you wanna feel loved and supported by a community, the LGBTQIA+ community is one of the most loving communities. So just come out and have a good time. And if you've never been around a gay person or if you've never been around drag queens, you can come and see. It's not that scary, honey. We are welcoming and loving.
We had so much fun last year and the weather wasn't as perfect that we had to do it again. So we are turning this into an annual event. We'll do this the first Sunday every June moving forward. So it's super exciting. And the response that we got from the community was so overwhelming that there is a need for these kind of events. And it was really made us proud to have put this together.
Coming up after the break, the Cape Cod Pirate Festival. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Mitch Sock.
And I'm Lauren Williamson. Did you miss the Cape Cod Pirate Festival last weekend? No need to fear. You can still catch all the fun and excitement again this weekend at Joshua Sears Memorial Field. Here's a quick look at some of the exciting attractions at this year's festival.
Streams of whiskey are flowing. I have cursed, bled, and sworn, jumped the bail and landed up in jail. I've stopped and tried to stretch me, but the rope always was slack. And now that I have a pile, I'll go down to the Chelsea. I'll walk in on my feet, but I'll leave there on my back because I'm going. I am going.
What's your name?
I'll head it
Fiona! Beautiful Fiona! Yeah! She's got a cartoon. Look at her horse. She's really so happy. No, it's true. Would you like to joust, Fiona?
Which steed shall you choose?
Farpy!
This is Steed Farpy.
We call her Farpy for short.
Yes. Today, we're going to teach you how to do the ring lance.
Ooh, I love the ring lance.
The other thing you need for a ring lance is a lance.
French brandy? I'm gonna go for a wee nip. Oh, to the boats there. Don't worry, Captain. I'll head off the rescue. No, I'll head it.
I know. Why don't you lead the way to the brig and we'll rescue those barrels? Back to work, you bloody swabs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the pirates of... You know, I can't seem to recall.
Let's raise a glass to what we hold here. Good job, excellent, Captain. Bravo. Fight too much. All right, matey. Crazy.
Moving target.
That's excellent.
Good job, Steve. Your presence is greatly appreciated. We bow in your honor.
You honor us! Well, she's the
Barnstable County Human Services is conducting an assessment of the behavioral health needs of children, youth, and young adults in Barnstable County. The information gathered in this survey will help identify issues that are not currently being addressed and services that may be needed. So far, fewer than 200 parents have responded to the survey, and the deadline is June 9th. To participate in this assessment, head to capecod.gov.
The Town of Yarmouth Community Preservation Committee will hold its annual public hearing and information session on Wednesday, June 12th at 3 p.m. at the Yarmouth Town Hall Hearing Room. The CPC invites all residents to participate and provide input on the goals, needs, and resources for enhancing the Yarmouth community. The discussion will focus on community housing, historic preservation, open space, and recreation.
Calling all animal lovers. Visit Dennis Public Library throughout June to see this month's fine art exhibit, All Creatures Great and Small. This exhibit will feature original paintings of all kinds of animals from Cape Cod artists Linda Condon, Terry Gullart, Charlotte Simpson, and Donna Beach.
The Harwich Cultural Council is inviting residents to celebrate the rich cultural life in Harwich. The Cultural Council grant reception will be on June 13th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Cultural Arts and Municipal Building. Grant recipients will share materials and information about their awarded projects and their greater body of work, some of which will be displayed at the Cultural Arts Building.
On Wednesday afternoon, Mashpee Police Chief Scott Carline announced that 15-year-old Aaliyah Compton was found safe in Barnstable after being missing since Sunday. Last month, a teenage girl violently assaulted Aaliyah in her school's bathroom, while another recorded the incident on her phone. The teen assailant is being charged with 7 counts of assault and battery in Falmouth District Court's Juvenile Division.
And lastly this evening, we send it to Ryan Downs with a recap of this week in sports.
Welcome back to the Cape Media News Sports segment. I'm your host and local sports guy, Ryan Downs. There was a ton of action this past week in the MIAA playoffs, as teams have been whittled down to competing in the Elite 8. So let's get into our Mid-Cape recap. At the start of last week, Barnstable was looking hopeful with 5 teams in the playoffs. Unfortunately, none of those teams made it past the first round. The baseball team, which was their only team to host a playoff game, fell to Weymouth 4-0. However, there is something to be said for when you lose. You at least want to lose to a good team, and all teams did that. The teams that knocked out Boys Lax, Girls Lax, and Boys Tennis are all still competing in the Elite 8, so no shame in losing to good teams. DY struggled all spring, but managed to get 2 teams in the postseason. Their Girls Lax team just barely made the playoffs as the 28th seed and drew the 5th seed Sandwich in the first round. Sandwich displayed why they're the 5th seed by knocking off DY with the final score of 17-2. However, DY Baseball is keeping the dream alive. They pulled off a 3-1 upset in the first round at Hamilton Wenham. But they weren't done there. They traveled to the number 2 seed Uxbridge and just took it to them, absolutely stunning them, putting up 3 runs in the first and adding another 7 in the second, winning with the final score of 11-2. Their pitching has been spectacular, as Hudson Campbell allowed just 6 hits and had 9 strikeouts in a complete game versus Hamilton Wenham. And Jake Boland pitched a complete game versus Uxbridge, shutting them down to only 3 hits total. Not to mention, he also went 2 for 4 at the plate with the home run, 4 RBIs, and 2 runs. DY is currently facing off against the number 10 seed East Bridgewater in the Elite 8 as we speak. Monomoy, who had the strongest showing this spring, record-wise, has found themselves with only 1 of their 6 playoff hopefuls still alive, and it might not be who you think it would be. Of the 6 teams, there were actually 2 teams that didn't make it past the first round. And not to add salt on the wound, but these were 2 teams I at least thought would have made a run for it all: the softball team and the boys lax team. Unfortunately, the softball team, that lost only 1 game all season, lost in the first round to East Bridgewater 13-1. But there is a massive bright side in knowing they only lose 1 senior. So if everything else goes right, they will return their full squad that dominated all year. And also, Boys Lax, who only had 3 losses on the season, fell 18-4 to Abington. After beating Cathedral 10-0 in the first round, baseball lost 6-0 to Millbury in the second round. girls Lax took down Tingsboro 10-6 before falling 23-7 to Cohasset. In boys tennis, who played their first round game last week, lost 5-0 in the second round versus Hamilton Wenham. But the flip side to that, the girls tennis is still alive and in the Elite Eight. They also played their first round game last week and then traveled to Lenox this week before advancing with a 5-0 final score. They now look to take on Manchester Essex at Endicott College tomorrow at 3 p.m. Nauset had 4 teams enter the playoffs. 1 took an early exit, 2 didn't make it much further, and they still have 1 team standing. The boys Lax team dominated ORR in the round of 32 with a final score of 21-1, and then again displayed dominance with a final of 19-9 against East Longmeadow. Nauset took the field with an attack-first mindset, and they never looked back. They jumped out to an early 3-0 lead and kept the pressure on at all times. By halftime, they maintained that 3-point lead with the score of 7-4. In the second half, they exploded for another 12 goals, led by Colby Smith with 6 goals and Joey Berardi with 4 goals and 4 assists. This is their second straight Elite Eight appearance, and they will travel to Newburyport tomorrow at 1 o'clock for their matchup. Baseball won a 3-2 matchup versus Newburyport in the first round, then had a tough loss of 3-0 versus the top-seeded Oakmont team. Girls Lax handled St. Mary's in the first round, winning 17-3, but struggled with their offense the next game versus Ashland, as they lost 8-19. And lastly, boys tennis took the early exit, losing in the first round of the playoffs 5-0 to Wakefield. And that's it for this week's Sports Update. Back to you, Lauren and Mitch.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story that you would like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org.
And tune in every week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV.
Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. For Cape Media News, I'm Lauren Williamson.
And I'm Mitch Sock.